Video I'd like to provide some help for students making their first reading in chapter 11 of Aristotle's Categories. In the previous chapter, Aristotle discussed the different kinds of opposites. He gave us 4 different classes of opposites, or 4 different ways in which things are said to be opposites. Here in chapter 11, he focuses on one of those, namely contraries. And he talks about 3 different kinds of contraries. 3 different kinds of contraries here in chapter 11. So let's read through the chapter together, and I'll make a couple comments that I judge to be helpful for beginning students. Let's read together chapter 11 of Aristotle's Categories. Evil is necessarily contrary to good. And this is manifest from an induction of particulars. Thus, disease is contrary to health. Injustice is contrary to justice. And fortitude is contrary to timidity. And in a similar manner in other things. But to evil, sometimes good is contrary. But sometimes evil is contrary to evil. For to indigence, or want, or poverty, for to indigence, which is an evil, excess is the contrary, another evil. In a similar manner, mediocrity, which is contrary to either of these, is good. And this indeed may be seen in a few things, but in most, the contrary to evil is always good. Again, of contraries, it is not necessary, if the one is, that the remainder should also be. For all persons being well, there will be health indeed, but not disease. And in like manner, all things being white, there will be whiteness indeed, but not blackness. Farther still, if to Socrates is well, Socrates is ill, is contrary. And it is not possible that both can be inherent in the same thing. It cannot be possible that one of the contraries existing, the other also exists. For that Socrates is well existing, that Socrates is ill will not exist. But it is evident that contraries are naturally adapted to subsist about the same thing, either in speech or genus. For disease and health are naturally adapted to subsist in the body of an animal. But whiteness and blackness are simply in body, and justice and injustice are in the soul of man. It is necessary, however, that all contraries should either be in the same genus, or in contrary genera, or should be genera themselves. This is where Aristotle identifies the 3 divisions of contraries. Some contraries are in the same genus, or are homogeneous. Some are in contrary genera, and some are genera themselves. For white and black are in the same genus, since color is the genus of white and black. But justice and injustice are in contrary genera. For one of them, the genus is virtue, justice, and of the other, the genus is vice. So justice and injustice belong to 2 different genera. And good and evil are not in any genus, but are themselves the genera of certain things. And that's the end of chapter 11. So here Aristotle speaks a little bit more about contraries and shows us that contraries seem to have three different characteristics based on how they relate to their genera. Some contraries exist in the same genera, like in the same genus, like black and white. Some in contrary genera, like justice and injustice, belong to the genera virtue and vice. And then lastly, some are genera themselves, like good and evil. So a short chapter, pretty simple content, just a division of contraries to continue what we started studying in chapter 10, when we learned about contraries as one kind of opposite. So I hope that's a helpful introduction to chapter 11. Review and study this chapter on your own, and I look forward to seeing your assessment work. God bless your studies.